Right, are we live? We're on? Does it work? Can you see me?
I think it's yeah.
Hi, people. Sorry about the weird camera thing. We're just have some technical difficulties. Well, our producer is late, which is what the technical difficulties are. So we're going to do this one camera today. Thanks for joining us for another SilviaFindings live stream thing. One person, I think that's probably Nelson. Hi, Nelson. Thanks for joining us. Before I get started, we're going to do another tray catalog things. And maybe in the next couple of weeks, there's one or two kind of how-to that I'd like to throw in there too, a thing amongst the catalogs, just so you're not getting totally bored just watching all the products. Although that's why we're here, right? To see the catalogs, to see the products. And it's always a good reference to be able to look back after the fact and be able to see exactly how the products work, how they how they look, suggestions, ideas, that kind of stuff along the way, to get a little bit more background, a little more detail than just what we write in the description in the website. My name is Mark. I'll be your live stream content provider today. Couple notes before we get started. If you share this video, of course, I don't know where that would be, but if you share this with your friends, we'll send you a free polishing cloth, right? One of these beautiful polishing cloths. If you place any orders today during the live stream, of course, as always, you'll get a free shipping, free regular shipping. So just like putting stamp on the box at postage, won't include tracking or insurance or any of that kind of stuff, which we won't. We won't ship stuff that's over $100. That way, because if it gets lost, there's angst afterwards. So, anyway, so we'll be reasonable. A note about shipping. I know last week I said I wasn't going to rant, and I'm not going to rant, but I am going to say that as bad as it has been, it's actually getting worse. We've had Lise is telling me that the camera is pointing at the ceiling too much. I know, Lise, it's temporary, I promise. It has to be at this angle. Maybe I could stand up a little or get a little bit more in. It has to be this angle because of... well, you'll see. Sorry, I know it's pointing up at the camera. Maybe I can do this. Just for now. Here we are. Then
your phone, your hand will be shaking.
Yeah, I know it's shaking, but hey, we get used to it. So shipping has been bad. Especially I've noticed. Into internationally, like not to the US, although the US, you can count on a couple of extra days. I think the shenanigans with the US Postal Service and the elections is pretty much over now. I think they're trying to get a handle back on that thing, although I doubt they're ever going to be able to reassemble those disassembled postage sorting machines. But that doesn't count for us because we're parcels and we don't go through those kind of sorting machines. So you might look at it a couple extra days just because of the volume of shipping happening over the holidays. But internationally, it's just gone crazy. We've had shipments into Europe using postal service that are like a month in shipping. A month. I could walk there faster. But that's neither here nor there. So just beware if you're shipping now. Oh, also, and I think we'll post it somewhere. I know we had it posted on our website, but we'll probably post it somewhere on all of our social media platforms. We got an email from our shipping service telling us that because of the volumes and because of COVID-19 and the reemergence, I guess it never really went away. But the second wave, I guess, of spikes of COVID-19 and the more stringent sorting issues with Canada Post, that shipments going from here to Ontario, say, across the country, out of province, they're saying like 2 weeks. Within the province, they're saying within, hi, Helen. And even they're saying like within locally, like if I'm shipping something from here in Richmond to downtown Vancouver or to New Westminster or something, which is like I could literally walk there in an hour, you know, they're counting on like 3, 4, 5 days. So basically, if you're ordering stuff and you need it for the holidays, order it early or come get it. You know, just call and we'll make your stuff available. Okay, so let's go right to the back into the products. The couple of trays that I'm going to do today, there's kind of a mishmash of a whole bunch of things. A couple of really good, a couple of really good, I guess, multi-use for irregular shaped things. And I'm going to start, you know, the very first one. Let me switch this around. Oy. Okay, this first one, MTP 730 with a retail price of $29.73 and a wholesale price of $19.63. Oh, and again, I know I say this every time, and I'm just going to say it, the difference between the retail and the wholesale price is not a static percentage, you know, because some things are harder to fabricate than others. Some things require more labor. Some things require, you know, less. So things that you can just cast and bing, bang, boing, and, you know, there you go. The margins between the retail and the wholesale might be a little bit higher. Things that require more labor, you know, the cost is the same whether you make 1 or 100. You know, those margins might be a little bit smaller, but the you know, it's anywhere from 30 to 50% is the difference. To get the wholesale price, you need to spend $150 per order. At the wholesale level, so that's just the only difference. We don't have, people ask us all the time, but I have a business license, you know. Yeah, a business license isn't a license to pay wholesale price. It's just, it just means that you, you know, maybe remit taxes to your local authorities kind of thing. But, you know, if you're doing it for real, you're gonna, you know, buy the quantity. So anyway. So, this kind of thing, we have another one, too, a little bit different version of it, which I'll talk about in a second, right? So this one has these extra prongs that are up at the top and the bottom. And so this, if you have like a thing, this isn't a pretty good example, right? You could put a big irregular shaped stone in there, and then you push these, you know, pieces over onto the stone to hold it in its place. It's got a lovely little filigree kind of bail in there, right? The other one, the second version of that, this MTP 729, I got, you know, kind of a weird stone in there kind of thing, right? To show you that, how that works, right? So regular shaped stones, you can push those, you know, things onto the stone that'll hold them in place. MTP 729 with a retail price of $32.37 and a wholesale price of $21.36. The next three we have are, these are, I think I'm kind of, I know I say this all the time, these are my favorites of the irregular shape ones, and I guess I don't really have a good, I have a good example to show you on the last one. But these are basically, it's kind of a, you know, flowery sort of thing, right? With the petals, right, that you can pull over onto the stone. I'll show you on the bigger one. I've got the bigger version of this, right? So if you have a, you know, a cabochon that fits there, right? And these things, I'm not going to do it, but you know, those will push over onto the front, and you'll get that kind of an effect all the way around it, sort of thing. It holds the stones in the thing. I think it's really, really super gorgeous. when they're all set in there. And we've got this in 3 sizes. This one, you know, and this 18 by 18 millimeter, you know, you can get away with, you know, smaller, maybe a hair bigger, but that measurement is generally the ideal size to get the right amount of the petals over onto the front of the stone to make it look cool. And they don't have to be circular. Obviously, the sample I showed you was oval. You know, you can have some weird irregular shapes. I've said all kinds of weird things in here. I said once at a show, a big crazy Herkimer diamond in one of these things, and it was very cool. Anyway, MTP 686, retail price is $16.47 and the wholesale price is $10.30. And a little bit larger version of this for a 22-ish millimeter, you know, approximate piece, MTP 686B, like boy, 1868 is the retail price and 1167 is the wholesale price. And the biggest one, this one is kind of new. We just got this one recently for 30 millimeter-ish piece, MTP 1146 for a retail price of $24.19 and a wholesale price of $15.12. And originally we only had these in the one size, and then we got them in the next size, and just so popular that we got an even bigger size. Now here's another you know, super interesting cage pendant, MTP 727. Retail price is $19.18, wholesale price is $11.99. And these prongs, you know, I mean, you can use these however you want to hold the stones in there. You know, you can pull this all the way open. You can the thing do whatever you want. I don't have a good example of those anywhere, but I don't have a good example. But use your imagination. You can go crazy with that thing. Here's one, MTP 678 for an 8 millimeter. This is for those, you know, crystal points, right? The cap, kind of a cap pendant-y thing. Retail price is $21.42. Wholesale price is $12.86. And that 8 millimeter by 8 millimeter, that's the width of the crystal point, right? And that will fit in there, sort of thing. So if you took a caliper and you grab the outside edge of that thing, if it was 8 millimeter or smaller, you can definitely fit it in there. And again, nice two-part epoxy would work best for that, I think. Yeah. Here's another super interesting, you know, again, not totally freeform, but yeah, more freeform than a regular pendant. MTP 1155. It says from 6 to 8 millimeter. Retail price is $7.80 and the wholesale price is $4.68. And this, you know, this, you just, you know, pull these open a little bit, pop your stone in there, and then push those back closed, and that holds it as a cute little, you know, kind of cage. Can't go wrong with that. This has a loop in the top instead of a bail, so a little more, I don't know, what would you call that? A little more casual than MTP 1023. Retail price is $12.53. Wholesale price is $7.51. Again, this is just kind of a regular old cap. It's got a, I don't know if you could see that. It's got posts, so you can use this as a pinch bail, or you can snip those posts off, pull those over onto your stone and glue them onto that. It's kind of a dual use item, right? So it's a cap, it's a pinch bail, it's a glue-on pendant. Take your pick. Use it as you want. Here's a kind of a more traditional glue-on cap. MTP 1024. The retail price is $14.25 and the wholesale price is $8.87. And these prongs, right, of this cage, you can, you know, open these up, pull these closed, you know, push them down. So even if you have like an irregular shaped crystal point, or I don't know, gosh, any kind of a teardrop, maybe a big teardrop thing. Those all work. Retail price $14.25 and the wholesale price $8.87. Got another, this one is also super popular, MTP 888. Retail price is $12.78 and the wholesale price is $8.52. And this has kind of like these, I call them prongs, but they're not really prongs. I guess the rays of the cap, are kind of, I don't know what you'd call that, sort of a vines motif that you can glue onto your stone, whatever. Here's another one that's just a little bit similar to the one we just had on here, sort of thing. This cap with looks like melting ice or whatever. I love this cap. It's bedecked with cubic zirconias, all the way around. It's got a regular standard bail. These pieces of the cap, you can pull this over, pull this off and onto your stone, glue that onto your stone, and it'll look like, some ice is melting down onto the stone. Really gorgeous. Very cool. You just have to be careful on this kind of thing, though. Especially the longer ones with like 4 or 5 stones on there. If you bend them too much, you could pop the stones out. But if any of the stones pop out, you could just put a little dab of super glue on there and put the stone back in. Kind of easy. MTP 597 for a 7mm circular point. Retail price is $18.20 and the wholesale price is $11.38. And this is kind of just a traditional cap with a loop and a soldered bail, right? For something that's 7mm wide. I don't know. Here's another glue-on cap. This is a incorporated bail in there. It's all one piece. MTP 676 for 6mm wide crystal point or whatever. Retail price is $9.83 and wholesale price is $5.90. A little bit longer version of that similar thing. It's a little bit bigger too. It's for a 7mm diameter point. MTP 677 or retail price $16.68 and the wholesale price of $10.01. We've got this one. This kind of a spirally thing, and this is really interesting. And I have one that I actually set with a stone in there just to give you an idea what it looks like when it's done. The notches are carved at a little bit of an angle. So let me just see if I can show you this without my fingers in the way, right? So when the stone is set in there, right, it looks, from the sides and the back like it's a, kind of a spirally sort of thing, right? But from the front, it's quite just, I don't know, it's cute, very cute. And stones is very, very easy to set stones in that one. MTP 868 for 8mm stones. Although I will tell you, I have set stones that are bigger than this. I don't know if I should tell you this. I've set a 10mm stone in that. I'm gonna go out and say it. I have set a 10mm stone in that. You could pull those prongs open and the notches still stay parallel to or I guess on the same plane as the girdle. The retail price is $11.70 and the wholesale price is $7.80. It's a very cute, very simple item. Here's one kind of more traditional prong set stone. I think I have a stone that'll fit in that. 10 by 14, will this? MTP 535 for a 10 by 14 millimeter stone. Let's see if that, oh yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Retail price is $18.68 and the wholesale price is $11.67. Again, for a 10 by 14 millimeter stone. These prongs are pretty tall, not super tall. The edge of this is a super tall cabochon. That might be, yeah. You'd need a thinner cab to fit in there for it to work beautifully. Anyway. Here's one MTP 908, also for a 10 by 14 millimeter cab. Nice, I don't know, kind of classic Victorian sort of swirls, flourishes around the outside edge. I like this because the seat is just on the inside of the setting. So even when your stone is in there, right, the stone will look like it's floating around the outside edge of that thing. And these prongs are plenty tall, even for this like super thick cab. So very versatile. It's got a lovely soldered loop and bail in the top of that. They said the price MTP 908. Retail price is $16.24 and the wholesale price is $10.83. Here's one cute little oval MTP 422 for a 9 by 11 millimeter stone. Retail price is $20.85. Wholesale price is $13.90. We've got these rows of cubic zirconias around the bottom and at the top, and the little squirrely, swirly at the top, right? It's got a traditional soldered loop and bail on the top of there. Can't go wrong. Here's another lovely one. This ends up, when this is standing up, I should pull one out. Will that stick there? No. That would be just too good. So when this is dangling, the stone ends up dangling kind of like at an angle, right? You can see that. MTP 401 for an 11 by 15 millimeter stones, and I don't have a stone that will fit in that to show you, but it's got this lovely little flourish up at the top with looks like mill grain along the sides with cubic zirconias all the way through it. Very simple, very elegant, a little non-traditional because it's a little bit diagonal instead of straight up or straight down. So I don't know, I kind of like that off-center look to it. There's another oval MTP 598 for a 10 by 12 millimeter stone. This is just very simple, very classic. It's got this sort of ribbons up at the top with cubic zirconia, soldered loop and bail on the top. And let's see if it's 10 by 12. Here's a nice little cab that will fit in there. This 10 by 12 cab. All right, the prongs are good size, average size, so any normal cab will fit in there. If it's a super thick cab, it might not. The seat is basket style with a little bit of a bevel in the edge of the seat, so cut stones will fit in there, cabochons, you name it, whatever you want will fit in there. Well, as long as it's 10 by 12, right? There's another 6 by 8 setting MTP 530. Retail price is $16.69 and the wholesale price is $10.43. And I just love this. That gives it a kind of a three-dimensional look, although it's not. It's kind of flat when you look at it. But I just love that kind of like a, I don't know, Celtic swirly, sort of things. Very classic, very elegant. and very cool. Again, the seat is flat on there, so I think ideally this would be ideal for cabochons. The prongs are, you know, giant on this thing, so even great big thick cabs will fit beautifully. If it's a really, really thin cab, you might need to snip those down and dress the ends before you push those over onto the stone. You know, otherwise the prong goes all the way onto the stone and it looks weird. You know, I don't know. Some people like that look. I don't. I like, you know, minimal amount of prong going inside the perimeter of my stone. But that's just me. Here's another oval setting for an 8 by 10 millimeter stone. And this, I think, I've got cut stones and I've got cabs that will fit in there. The seat is designed for either, right? It's got that bevel in there, so a nice, will that fit in there? Just barely. I don't want to pull the prongs open on camera anyway. You get the idea, right? Very cute. MTP 403 with a retail price of $10.32 and wholesale price of $6.45. The soldered loop and bail, and I don't know, kind of a interesting shape. So if you have a giant pendant, giant cab, 30 by 40 cab, right? This is the one you want. MTP 1125. Retail price is $46.80 and the wholesale price is $29.25. It's got a soldered loop and bail with a lovely kind of scroll work in the bail. It's got that meandros pattern around the outside, that ancient Greek meandros pattern. And this, you know, because it's, you know, very three-dimensional, very oval, you know, a cab will fit in there. If you have a 30 by 40 millimeter cut stone, you know, you're welcome to try to put it in there. I probably would. I think that would look awesome. Awfully big, though. That would be a killer cut stone. But I have seen lots and lots of cabs that size, and these prongs are kind of perfect for just about any cab, except for really, really ridiculously thick ones, which if it's too thick for that, you know, it's too thick anyway. But if you want a pendant for a really super thick cab, here's a good one. MTP 229. For a 12 by 16 millimeter stones. Retail price is $15.78 and wholesale price is $9.87. And look at these prongs. Oh, this one's bent. Bummer. The phone's ringing. I'm going to leave you now and answer the phone. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. Somebody else can answer the phone. We have people. So these prongs are nice and tall for just about any cab that you can think of. I can't imagine a cab being thicker than that. Anyway, did I say that? I think 229 MTP 229. Retail price $15.78 and the wholesale price is $9.87. It's got this lovely scroll work around the outside. These little you know, dots. It almost looks like they're cubic zirconias in there, and if you were looking at it quickly, you might think that there were, but there aren't. It's just all silver dots and scroll work. Very lovely around the outside of that. Here's just a very classic square, 12 millimeter square MTP 1057. Retail price is $12.68 and the wholesale price is $7.92. Got traditional soldered loop and bail on there. Now the thing I want to point out about this, which I think is awesome, first, you know, it's not a very deep basket, so you can definitely get away with cut stones or cabs. I like that double prongs. I'm really partial to these over, you know, the individual chevrons. The individual prongs that have little, you know, so it's a single prong in the corner with a notch cut out of the inside that the points of the stone go into the notch. You know, it's perfectly secure when you do them. when you do it right. Some more brittle stones, you kind of have to hold your breath when you're doing it, because when you're pushing those kinds of prongs over onto the nice sharp corners, they can crack. Whereas with these double prongs, the corners fit in between them. You push these over onto the stone, much less chance of cracking your stone. So this one is not better than the other. I just find that these are way less angsty when you're setting stones with them. Anyway, MTP 1057 for retail price of $12.68 and the wholesale price of $7.92. And again, that's for a 12 millimeter square cut stone. Preferably with pointy corners, although even a curved kind of corner will work. This next one, MTP 612 for a 10 by 14 millimeter stone. $12.74 is the retail price and $7.28 is the wholesale price. And I don't have a stone that will fit in that, I don't think. Just to show you what it looks like. But basically, cabs, cut stones will work in this, but I think cabs are better. These prongs push down onto the thing, and then the top of this goes underneath there, and you push this heart down onto the top of the stone, and that holds it into place. It's a really clever piece. If you're unsure, if you're not convinced, if you don't have utter confidence in the setting, you can put a dab of two-part epoxy on the inside of that heart when you push that over onto your stone, and that'll give you maybe a little bit of a peace of mind. Again, for a 10 by 14 millimeter oval, retail price $12.74 and the wholesale price $7.28. Here's another cool one, kind of a little bit bigger one, for 23 by 29. I bet you could put a 24 by 30 millimeter stone in there, but maybe not. 22 by 28, that seems like a weird measurement. 23 by 29. MTP 716. Retail price is $35.95 and the wholesale price is $22.46. And it's just a lovely classic, kind of scroll work around the outside of that. The prongs are nice and tall, so any cab that you put in there will fit. Cut stones could probably fit too. I like this because it's horizontal instead of vertical, and you don't see a lot of that. Although you should see more, because I like that. Lovely soldered loop and bail, and the bail is that pierced kind of scroll work on the inside of that. Very lovely. Here's a cap, just a plain old cap, antique cap with lovely, flora and fauna work in there. It just has a loop in the top. MTP 1056 for 10 millimeters. I guess 10 millimeters the average size you can get in there of a crystal point or something. Retail price $17.82 and the wholesale price is $10.14. Boy, I'm just looking at it. You could use this as for like a multi-strand end cap in the end of a necklace. Although that loop doesn't go all the way through, so it'd be tricky to glue stuff in there. Anyway, here's a super plain, lovely twisty rope pattern around the outside of this bezel setting. It's got a loop and a soldered bail there, soldered loop and a traditional bail. MTP 1065 for a 30 by 40 millimeter cabochon. Retail price is $23.14 and the wholesale price is $16.20. This bezel wall it's not very tall. It's thin enough though that if you had a low dome cab, then you might be able to push this bezel wall over onto this stone. Although I think it would just be easier, and I know that I always try to recommend not doing it if you don't have to, but you could definitely just glue that in there. I think that would be easiest. And again, with all of these kind of bezel things, the stone has to pretty much fit. So if you're a lapidary looking for, a chance to, practice reshaping your stones, that's a perfect setting for you. MTP 543 for a 10 by 14 millimeter pear shaped stone. 1806 is retail price, 1128 is wholesale price. This has got some cubic zirconias around the outside, lovely things. It's got some pretty good sized, so it's got that chevron in the top. It's kind of a hybrid chevron double prong, right? So I would worry less about this than just a regular chevron. Cabochon, it would have to be a low dome because these prongs are not super tall. Cut stones would work beautifully in here. Again, soldered loop and bail. MTP 543, retail price 1806, and the wholesale price is 1128. Now we're getting more into cabs here. Here's MTP 1060 for an 11 by 15 millimeter cabochon. Retail price $23.52, and the wholesale price is $14.70. And again, I love this scroll work around the outside. It's a nice, solid bail. This is definitely one of those things where it's the pendant is there to highlight the stone. It's got a pretty, deep basket, so cabochons or cut stones will work in there. The bezel wall, again, is not super tall, but it is thin enough that if you were good, you might be able to set a cabochon in there if it was a low dome, although I would probably recommend for this one just gluing the stone in there. That would be way, I think, easier. Good two-part epoxy. This one, MTP 1061 for a 20 by 24 millimeter stone. The retail price is $28.68, and the wholesale price $17.93. This lovely twisty rope sort of patterns around the outside. Like kind of very cool stitching sort of motif. Again, you'd have to glue your stone in there. It's got a soldered loop and a bail, and the bail has that lovely scroll work. The next one is MTP 866 for an 8 millimeter round cabochon or cut stone. I'm going to show you why in a second, why cabochon is probably better for this. Retail price is $12.31, and the wholesale price is $8.20. And look at these prongs, super, nice tall prongs. Even this 8 millimeter. This is pretty low dome, so anyway, I'm not going to mess with this. Try to push that in there. So high dome, I've seen lots of moonstones and labradorites, and for some reason it seems like they cut those stones really thick, I guess to accentuate the chatoyance of the stones. The thicker they are, the more flash they have. So those are perfect for these kind of things. It's got an incorporated bail, so it's all one piece. Again, retail price is $12.31. Wholesale price is $8.20 for this MTP 866. Here's another. This one is for a marquise shaped stone. And I don't have one of those lying around to put in there to show you. For an 8 by 17 millimeter stone, cabochon or cut stone will work in these. The prongs are pretty good size, so, just about any kind of cab. I love that sort of island-looking motif. It looks very tropical. Palm trees. MTP 555. Oh, that's probably bamboo. Now that I'm looking at it, MTP 555, retail price is $21.05, and the wholesale price is $13.16. And this has just the standard soldered loop and bail at the top. Here's MTP 896 for a 20 by 26 millimeter cabochon. The retail price is $28.67 and the wholesale price is $19.11. This has got pretty good sized prongs. Cut stone or a cabochon will work great in there. It's got a not a super deep basket, but it's got a basket, so definitely a cut stone will work in there without poking in the chest if the pavilion sticks out back there. Regular old soldered loop and bail. And I like the that I call it that twisty wire thing, because if you take two pieces of wire and you twist them around each other, you get that sort of rope looking effect. Anyway, it's just a very classic, gorgeous MTP 879 for a 5 millimeter round stone, cut stone or cabochon. It's got pretty good sized prongs, so just about any cab except for the really super thickest ones will fit in there. Retail price is $12.96 and the wholesale price is $8.65. It's got an incorporated bail, just a lovely teardrop thing with a stone down in the bottom. I think once a stone is set in there, it's just gorgeous, and it's a shame I don't have one to show you, because this is one of those things where when you see it with a stone in it, it's totally different. Just very, very simple, very classic, very clean, but gorgeous. There's another MTP 525 for a 13 by 18 millimeter oval. Retail price is $14.81. Wholesale price is $8.88. And this has got, that kind of faux granulation dots around the outside, and that kind of simple scroll work. The prongs are, kind of good size, not super long, not super short. So, man, just about, it's totally versatile setting. Just about any cut stone or cabochon will fit in there. The next one, MTP 876 for a 9 by 11 millimeter stone. Prongs are pretty tall on that, so pretty much cabochon I think is the best thing to fit in there. Although you could definitely put a cut stone if you trimmed those prongs down and made them beautiful. MTP 876, retail price is $12.22 and the wholesale price is $8.14. And it's just kind of a classic, that kind of a ribbon thing up at the top, a flourish up at the top that also doubles as a bail. Once the stone is in there, it just looks like that ribbon is cradling the stone. It's very gorgeous. Classic, simple. Here's another simple classic. MTP 875 for a 6 by 8 millimeter cabochon or cut stone. Retail price is $13.01 and the wholesale price is $8.67. And the ribbon just kind of cradles around the outside of the stone. Again, it's a little bit diagonal, which is non-traditional. The prongs in these are super tall, so anything but I don't think I've ever seen a cabochon that wouldn't fit in there, assuming it was a 6 by 8. I've seen some pretty tall cabs in over the years, but I've never seen one that wouldn't fit in this thing. And again, very simple to trim those down if the prongs are too long. And I might do that, I'm definitely going to do that in a future live stream. Do a couple of those things, show you the best way to keep those prongs the right length if you need to adjust them. Here's another gorgeous MTP 865 for a 7 by 9 millimeter stone. Retail price is $12.69 and the wholesale price is $8.45. And this lovely, kind of ribbon flourishes, sort of thing. Draping around the outside of that. Again, the prongs on this one, they've been bent from being in the tray and shipping all over the place. The prongs are super tall, so just about any cab. I've never seen a cab that wouldn't actually work in that thing. Our next one is a cute little elephant. Look at that. Oh my God. MTP 885 for a 6 by 8 millimeter oval. Do I have a 6 by 8 oval around here somewhere? Oh. I don't. It's a shame because it looks way cool with a stone in there. But I've got a little bit smaller stone that might work. No, that's too small. Anyway, so this cute little elephant, 6x8mm cabochon or cut stone you can put in there. Again, the prongs are nice and tall, so you know, no worries if the stone is too big. I don't know, what can you say about it? Standard loop and bail. MTP 885. The retail price is $12.31, and the wholesale price is $8.20. Here, this one, oh golly, you know, I wish I had a one cab that I could put in here to show you how these work, because they're great. MTP 577, and I've got a couple of these. I'm not going to show you them today because they're in other trays that are further down the line, but MTP 577 for a 25mm round cabochon. Retail price $21.13 and a wholesale price is $13.20. You can kind of get an idea what it looks like. Let me just put this in there, right? So, you know, you'd use glue, right? You'd glue that down on there and then push the tail of that thing down onto the top of the stone. So, you know, it looks like you've got a leaping dolphin leaping over your stone. Very cool once it's all done. The effect is very cool. MTP 577, $21.13 is a retail price. $13.20 again is the wholesale price. Here's a more traditional MTP 643 for a 12x17mm oval cabochon. Definitely cut stone, maybe depending on the shape of the pavilion. Retail price $25.48. Wholesale price is $19.11. And this has got you know, some cubic zirconias in these kind of like flourishes around the bail, right? Prongs are a pretty good size, so you know, any it'd have to be like a super thick cabochon to not fit in there, and even then, when the seat is nice and flat like this, you know, you could even go so far as if the cab is really thick, you can actually glue it down onto that seat and then push the prongs into there, even if they don't completely cover the perimeter of the stone or come inside the perimeter of the stone. That would still work. Here's I love this. It's one of my favorite. And just we have another one that's similar to this, only these kind of wave things are graduated, smaller at the top and they get bigger at the bottom. That is not going to be in the show today, but MTP 515 for a 17x23mm cab or cut stone. Retail price is $22.50. Wholesale price is $14.07. It's got this lovely kind of leaf bail, right? Soldered loop and bail, right? And again, it's just this kind of, you know, wave, I guess, scroll work all the way around the outside. The prongs are not super tall, you know, but tall enough that any but the most thick cabs will definitely work in there. Cut stones also. A nice wide open back. The next one is MTP 1053 for an 11x14mm pear-shaped stone. $39.34 is the retail price, and $24.60 is the wholesale price. It's got this lovely, you know, scroll work, those little kidney-shaped filigree pieces around the outside edge of that thing, with a row of cubic zirconias all the way around. It's a pretty good deep-sized basket. Cut stones or cabochons will work in there. Again, it's got that double prong at the top, so you don't have to worry about potentially cracking the tip of your stone off, no matter how or what. But the nice thing about these double prongs on this kind of a setting is that even if the tips of the very top of the pear is not pointy, if it's a little bit curved, this kind of a setting will definitely still work. very securely. If the tip of the stone is kind of curved and you have that single chevron prong setting at the top, sometimes I'm a little less convinced that it's absolutely secure. But with the double prongs, you can never go wrong. It's got a lovely, I don't know, butterfly looking effect at the top with a soldered loop and bail. Our next contestant is a lovely MTP 1062 for a 23 by 29 millimeter oval cabochon. Retail price is $28.86 and the wholesale price is $18.04. Now, I know that there's lots of lapidarists who will watch the lapidaries. I'm not making up words. They're actual people who cut stones, who they'll trace out on your rough 24 by 30 cabochon, and then you start polishing, and by the time you're done, it's 23 by 29. So here's the setting for you. We've got you covered. For the overzealous polishers, it's got a nice, interesting deep, or not particularly deep basket, with lovely kind of wave sort of scroll work around the outside, and that super, very cool. That's filigree. I know it doesn't seem like it's filigree, but that's definitely filigree work in the bail at the top. Again, this would be a glue-in situation. You want to glue your stone in there. I think, well, you might be able to. That's not a super thin bail, or bezel, I should say. But the bezel wall is thin enough that you could potentially push that over onto the stone and not have to use glue and be able to set that a little more traditionally, but only if you're good. I'm going to say that because a lot of people, when they're first learning how to do that kind of bezel work, they'll trash these bezels and they'll just look like really, really gross from pushing them down on there. Always start from the sharp edges and slowly push your way out to the softer edges. Maybe that's for another tutorial one day. Here's an MTP 448 for an 11 by 15 millimeter oval cabochon or cut stone. The prongs are kind of medium sized, so super, super thick cabochons, you might have to file the back of those down to get them a little bit thinner. Regular everyday cabs or low dome cabs are perfect for this. It's got a row of cubic zirconias around the outside and more detail up at the top there, like, I don't know, transposed V's, something. We've got this regular classic soldered loop and bail on the outside. And again, the seat is flat, so ideally for a cab, but I would definitely put a cut stone in there. I wouldn't even worry about it. Our next contestant is this MTP 971. Oh, you know what? And I think this is wrong on the website. I need to. I keep thinking about this, that I should fix this. I think on the website this displays as being a pear setting, but it's not a pear. It's teardrop shaped. The setting is teardrop shaped, but the setting itself is for an oval stone, for a 10 by 14 millimeter. I just think it was miscategorized. MTP 971 is the SKU. Retail price is $22.35 and the wholesale price is $13.96. And it's got a lovely big cubic zirconia down on the bottom, or big, I guess, relatively big, to the little cubic zirconias all the way that, decorate the top, the little scrolly work and the little ribbons on the bottom, and the bail, nice open bail, nice big wide. The prongs are super tall in here, so any cab or cut stone will fit in there. I think just about anything you've got that's 10 by 14 will fit with no muss or no fuss. Here we have a MTP 564 for a 9 by 13 millimeter oval stone. Kind of an interesting, let me move this out of the way. bezel so you can see the actual shape of the piece. Right? So it's got this lovely, oh, maybe I'll pull it out of the bag, or not, whatever. You get the idea. It's got this lovely ribbon work all the way up and around the both sides. Some cubic zirconias down at the bottom, and also in the top. Not a super deep basket, but the prongs are good size, so anything, cut stone, cabochon will fit in there. Very easy. Here we have MTP 995 for a 15 by 20 millimeter pear-shaped stone. Retail price is $14.25, and the wholesale price is $8.91. Again, this just kind of classic, scroll work. It's got that lovely double prong at the top instead of a chevron, and the two prongs at the bottom. The prongs are good size, so just about any cab will fit in there. I don't have a cab there to show you, but you can see even this is I think the thickest cabochon I've got, and those prongs definitely will fit. As long as they fit down. Now, the nice thing about this cabochon, though, is that it's tapered all the way from the very end, but sometimes you'll get cabs that are super thick and they're just perfectly kind of parallel all the way up to the top. Anyway, MTP 995 for a 15 by 20 millimeter, $14.25, and $8.91 is wholesale price again. I know I said that twice. I think I've done that a bunch of times. MTP 270 for a 7 by 9 millimeter cut stone. I think would fit best in here because of the seat, but a cabochon definitely would work. Retail price is $15.43, and the wholesale price is $10.52. And I know this is not for everyone, but I love this bug. I just love it. Here's do I have a stone that fits in there? I think I do. Oh no, that's way too small. Wait a minute. That's 5 by 7, 7 by 9. I do have one. Here's I'll put a lovely moonstone in there. I'm not going to set it, but right? Very cool. Definitely something that people would look twice at. And I it's kind of a niche product, but all of this is niche. I just love this beetle, I guess, once you put a stone in there. Again, MTP 270 for a 7 by 9 millimeter oval cut stone or cabochon. Retail price $15.43, and the wholesale price $10.52. Here's MTP 993 for a 7 by 9 millimeter stone. Retail price is $11.25, and the wholesale price is $7.03. Super gorgeous, classic sort of flourishes and cubic zirconias and the ribbons in the top there. Again, for a 7 by 9 millimeter stone, I think I've got one handy that will fit in there. This is a cab. Oh, I should probably have these set up beforehand. Anyway, whatever. Trust me, it's gorgeous with a stone in there. The next one, MTP 553B, like boy, for an 8 by 10 millimeter pear-shaped stone. Retail price $16.45, wholesale price is $10.97. This has got some lovely scroll work, kind of, I don't know, flourishy, sort of thing. It's got a pretty deep, or not, I guess not that deep of a basket. It's got the two prongs in the bottom, and it's got that single chevron, thing at the top. So whatever stone you put in there, whether it's a cab or a cut stone, it's going to have a pretty sharp point at the top to fit into that notch that's on the inside of that chevron. If it's really rounded, it might still work, but it won't be absolutely 100% secure. If you knock the stone on the side, it could shift if it's a curved point. But if it's a very pointy point, I mean, the stone would break before it shifted out of there. Here's a very cool MTP 259 for a 5x7 millimeter cut stone or cabochon. Retail price $13.42 and the wholesale price $8.67. And I know it's not that, but I just love this because to me it looks like it's incorporated bale, but it looks like it's hands coming around and grasping the underside of my my stone. I got a stone that's a little bit smaller than it should be, but right, you get the idea what it looks like with a stone in there. I just love that. Anyway, I'm very easily impressed, as you can tell. Here's a classic, and this, boy, we sell a ton of these for a 7x9 millimeter stone. This is, I think it's one of the most popular oval stones. Maybe 7x9 is a very popular size, so we just sell more of these because, but I don't know why. It's one of our best sellers. It's kind of like a what do you call that? I know it's some fancy name. And I can't remember. They're kind of like a cat's eye, shape, with a row of cubic zirconias coming up and all the way around the thing with the stone sitting inside. And again, this is, do I have them by a 7x9 stone lying around? Because this is way more impressive with a stone in it. And I don't. Let me just put, see if I can put this in there, see if that'll work. There we go. Right? It's just so much more impressive with a stone in there, right? Because you can imagine anything in there. I just like that. Did I say? I probably did. MTP 982, retail price is $20.37 and the wholesale price is $12.73 for that. We got a standard soldered loop and bale. They're hot, but we have lots, so get more. MTP 565 for an 8x10 millimeter cabochon, or I don't know, with that wide seat, probably a cabochon is the best thing to put in there. Although I guess depending on the shape of your pavilion, you could probably get away with putting a cut stone in there also. The prongs are not super tall, so any but the most thick cabochons will fit in there beautifully. Again, very classic, very simple shape. See, here's a 8x10 cab, right? You can see that's lovely, right? Prongs definitely would work, even though that's one of those really super annoying cabochons where the edges are perpendicular to the bottom, which, hey, if you're listening and you're a lapidary, stop it. Try to make your cabs so that they're taper all the way from the outside edge. I know it's difficult and it's tricky. Here's a cut stone in there, right? And I think with that wide seat, boy, that just doesn't clear it. It's close though. I think with that wide seat, depending on the shape of the pavilion of the stone, might sit lower into there, and you could definitely push that over. But I think ideally for a cab, cut stones maybe. MTP 565, retail price $20.63, and the wholesale price is $12.90. Our next piece, MTP 988 for a 12x14 millimeter cut stone or cab. Retail price is $20.15, wholesale price is $12.60. And this nice deep basket, I think this is clearly designed for a cut stone. Cabochon will definitely work in there too, though. But I think a cut stone would look better in there. I got this lovely cubic zirconia flourishes around the outside. Very three-dimensional piece. So even if you got a super deep pavilion, it wouldn't look out of place in this thing. Just a lovely piece all around. Here we've got MTP 984 for an 8x16 millimeter marquise stone. Retail price $17.16 and the wholesale price $10.73. And I just love this kind of classic, very classic Victorian almost flourishes around the outside, and the alternating cubic zirconias down one side and up the other. Some cubic zirconias on the outside edges. It's got the double prongs, which I'm very partial to. So no matter how pointy the tips of your marquise stones are, you won't have to worry about cracking them when you're pushing those down onto there. Very secure, very easy to set. Just do it. Go for it. MTP 983 for a 10 by 14 millimeter oval. The basket is definitely designed for a cut stone, but you could definitely put a cabochon in there with no problems. Here I actually have a 10 by 14 cabochon sitting right here. Right? Gorgeous with those little scroll work around the outside. Alternating cubic zirconias on the diagonals and plain on the other diagonals. The prongs are, pretty good size, so even a big thick cab like this will work. Although I think personally I would like to see a cut stone in there better than a cab. That's just me. MTP 983, retail price $19.76, and wholesale price is $12.35. My next item is MTP 111 for an 8 by 10 millimeter stone. $13.62 is the retail price. $9.54 is the wholesale price. It's got that flat seat, so probably a cab is what it's designed for. You could definitely put a cut stone in there though, depending on the shape of the pavilion. I actually have one here, a 10 by 14 millimeter. Right. Oh boy. So the prongs are definitely tall enough that would work. That's just lovely. I love that kind of interlocking scroll work around the top there, knotwork, I guess, and just the different levels around the outside, giving you a sense that everything is kind of floating in there. That's just a lovely classic pendant. Here's one. I love this one. MTP 446 for a 7 by 9 millimeter stone. Retail price is $27 and the wholesale price is $18.01. I think the seat looks like it's designed for a cab, but you could definitely put a cut stone in there also. I love this because it's kind of like a money bag, right? With all the cubic zirconias in there. We've got a lovely little there's a cut stone in there that works beautifully. There's a moonstone. I don't know how appropriate the moonstone is with all the cubic zirconias in there, but just can't go wrong. I love that. Our next setting is MTP 986 for a 10 by 12 millimeter pear-shaped stone. Retail price $20.23 and the wholesale price $12.65. It's got this cubic zirconias in the shape of a heart at the top and the bottom, and this ribbon flourishes with cubic zirconias on the sides. It's got the double prongs up at the top for the top of that setting. So no matter what your what the very tip of your pear-shaped stone is, if it's a point, you're good. If it's slightly curved, you're good. Very simple to set, very easy to use, and golly, just a classic. Gorgeous. Here's one, MTP 975 for a 12 millimeter round stone, and I don't have a 12 millimeter round stone lying around to put in here, but it's just got this very, looks like nested rings that are all put together. So when you look at it from the front, it looks, kind of hard to describe. but you're looking at it, so you know what I mean. Retail price is $17.98. Wholesale price is $11.23. It's got a soldered loop and bail, a very interesting, kind of a cool bail on the top there, split open. Cabochon will fit in here, although I think this setting is designed for a cut stone, but either will work. Our next item, MTP 991 for an 8 by 10 millimeter pear-shaped stone. Retail price is $13.68 and the wholesale price is $8.54. And this has it's just a lovely flourish around the outside with a row of cubic zirconias. It's got that big wide open bail, right, with a very interesting framework bail. It would have to be, I think a cut stone would work best on here, although cabochon will also work. It has to have a very pointy tip though, because it's got that single chevron prong setting with the notch cut out of it, which is totally secure if you do it right. I just find the double prongs are easier to set, but that's neither here nor there. MTP 991, retail $13.68, and again the wholesale price is $8.54. And we're getting close to the end. MTP 990 for a 10 by 16 millimeter oval. I think the seat is designed for a cut stone, but you could probably put a cab in there. I'll explain in a minute. Retail price is $13 and the wholesale price is $8.13. This is another one of those things where the elements around the outside, like this one and that one, right, you put your stone in there and then you push these pieces and that pieces down onto that. Maybe this ribbon part 2, push it over onto the stone. If it's a cut stone, that's the right size, 10 by 16 millimeter cut stone. Pushing these down onto the top will be more than enough, to stabilize it in the setting. If you're, nervous and you're not absolutely confident that, your stone is, secure in there, you can put a little dab of 2-part epoxy on the underside of this little clover at the top, right? The little clover trio, I think, and this butterfly at the bottom to hold your stone in there. Very interesting because there's no prongs. It's just very cool. Very non-traditional. Here's MTP 966, which should be in another tray because it's one of a series. We have a bunch of sizes of this thing. I don't know why it's here, but it's next, so I'm going to go with it. MTP 966 for a 12 by 16 millimeter cabochon. I will say I have set a cut stone in there. It looks very cool if you can get it, if you can get away with it. If the pavilion is the right size, the seat is not super wide, so pretty much most pavilions will fit in there unless it's like really, really super, super deep. Anyway, MTP 966 for a 12 by 16 millimeter. Traditionally, it would be a cabochon you'd put in there. Retail price $12.13. Wholesale price is $7.58. And this is just that kind of scroll work, gallery work that once you got your stone in there, you just push the edges of these scroll work bezel down onto the sides of the stone, and that holds it into place. All right, see, this is supposed to be in tray 21, and I'm working on tray 12. Somebody has dyslexia. It's probably me. Put it away in the wrong place. Here's a MTP 985 for an 8 by 16 millimeter marquise shaped stone. Retail price $12.17. $12.17. Wholesale price $7.61. Little cubic zirconia in the heart at the very top of that thing with cute accents all the way around the outside. It's got that the seat is on the inside of a frame, so once your stone is in there, it'll look like it's kind of floating inside that frame, which I always love. It's got the double prongs for the tips of the marquees. So if you have really, really pointy tips on your marquees, you don't have to worry about being extra careful about not cracking them. If they're a little bit curved, you're still good. It'll be secure. Really super versatile all-around setting on that. Here's a lovely MTP 980 for a 7mm round, and I don't have a 7mm round stone to show you, which is a shame, because when you see it with a stone in there, it's like way cuter. MTP 980, retail price $14.73, and the wholesale price is $9.20. The prongs are not super tall, so I think a cut stone is most appropriate. If it's a really super low dome cabochon, you might be able to get away with putting that in there, or real thin cab. It's got a lovely soldered loop and bail with cubic zirconias in there. There's no cubic zirconias in the heart per se in that setting, but it's just lovely. Here's a very simple classic MTP 959 for a 12x16mm cab. Retail price $12.48, wholesale price is $7.80. And again, this the bezel wall in this is definitely thin enough that if the stone fits, you can push the bezel wall down onto the side pretty easily. Although if you're not super confident with your setting skills, you could also definitely glue the stone in there using a good 2-part epoxy. It's got a nice open bail with a cute little heart accent in the top. And our last setting for today, and we're going out with a bang, is this gorgeous MTP 965 for a 10x14mm stone. Retail price is $19.97, and the wholesale price is $12.48. And again, it's got this lovely intertwined, scroll work all the way around the outside, with a row of cubic zirconias just, draping around the outside of the stone. And I think I have a 10x14. I do. I'm going to put a stone in there because this is gorgeous. I'm just going to put that in there. I'm not going to set it, obviously, but right? Can't go wrong. Golly, it's just so much easier to visualize what it looks like when there's a stone in there. Love it. So the prongs on this one are pretty average sized. It would work for this cab, even though this cab is super thick. Cut stones would also work in there because it's a pretty deep basket, right? So anything you could put in there that would fit, I think would set in there beautifully. MTP 965 for a 10x14mm stone. Retail price is $19.97, and the wholesale price is $12.48. And that's it. Those are the 3 trays that I planned on doing today. So let me just pick this up and do this way. So Olga, you started watching now. We're at the end of the live stream. Thanks for watching. Again, if you share this video, we'll send you one of those polishing cloths. If you place an order today while we're doing the live stream, although we're almost done, we'll be off air in a few minutes. You'll get free standard shipping, or I should say regular, just stick the stamp on the package, shipping. There'll be no tracking, there'll be no insurance or any of that kind of stuff. We do that shipping for free. Orders under $100. If you're reached the wholesale level, we would have to have send that with tracking. So just be aware of that. Shipping, if you're ordering stuff now, depending where you are, if you're in Canada and you're in another province than British Columbia, again, Canada Post is suggesting give it at least 10 days to 2 weeks. If you're within British Columbia, I think they're saying something 4 or 5 days, like a week or so. Even locally, they're saying 3 and 4 days, which it seems outrageous to me. But neither here nor there. If you're shipping into Europe and you're ordering from Europe, you can definitely, and if your order is big enough, it's definitely worth it to ship DHL. You're going to pay, now depending on the price of the value of your shipment, you're going to pay clearance fees because they have to clear through customs. And we've discovered this week, like in France, no matter what, even if the duties and taxes are zero, which this particular shipment was, the duties and taxes were zero, but they still charge 20% just because. Bon, as they say in France. We can't, although I suppose there are people who are, super smart who are able to figure out all this information. But, I don't know all of the ins and outs of the customs and import situations in every country. I've discovered that France charges straight up 20% or off the top. That's even before duties and taxes. And DHL also charges, depending where you are, it's might be 12, 14, 15 bucks to process the clearance. So you are going to pay more than just the shipping. It'll just happen at your end. So just be aware of that. There's a couple extra surcharges, which I guess if your, shipment is, a couple $100 of value, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But if you're only ordering one pendant, you might end up paying as much for the duties and the taxes and the import as you're paying for the individual piece. For some reason, it seems like postal shipping, if you ship it through the post office, it seems to fly under the radar and you don't get charged any of that other stuff. So, but if you're looking at shipping, via postal service, they're saying up to 75 days into Europe. So if I'm shipping something from here to Italy or France or wherever, you won't get it by Christmas, just so you know. But having said that, we're here for you. You can always call, email, text, message us here, however you need to get a hold of us. We're here as a resource for you. We'll answer any question about stone setting, or even if I'm around, I'll answer any general metalsmithing questions. I've been doing this for more than 25 years. Not important to know how long I've been doing it for. But it's a long time. So take care of yourself, take care of the planet, take care of your mental health, stay safe. Hopefully with all these vaccines coming out now within the next 6 months or so, everybody can be vaccinated and we can start doing shows. We'll start seeing you again around at the trade shows. But in the meantime, we'll keep doing these live streams. And if you have any questions about anything and you'd like me to address it on a live stream, please just email, let me know. I'm at mark@canadafindings.com, although you can just go on the website and click any of the contact us links. There's even a little chat function. I monitor that sometimes, although if it's late at night I go to bed, I don't pay attention to those things, but somebody will get back to you eventually. And if you have a question, chances are good that lots of other people have the question and they're just not asking it. So please, if you have a question, let us know, and we're happy to bring that information to you. So again, take care, stay creative, keep making stuff to keep yourself sane, and we will see you next Wednesday at 10:30 Pacific Standard Time, and you can extrapolate to whatever time you are, wherever you are in the world. So thanks very much for watching the Sylvia Findings weekly live stream, and we're done. Thank you. Bye-bye.